Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today we are going to make this really cute card using some stamps from our sponsor, Rubber Stamp Tapestry. And I only used a couple. It's really fun and easy, and let's just get right to it. So the first thing I did was I just made a little template on my stamping mat. I just stuck a piece of masking tape down, I stuck another one down for measurement, and then I stuck a third. And that's going to be kind of my spatial template here. And I'm just going to set that, my cardstock down so it's lined up with the bottom. Now I originally tried one where I taped on the cardstock, but unless you have a really low tack tape, you might tear it. So I just decided to stick it down to my foam mat, and that would give me what I needed. And now I'm going to use these big post-it notes to kind of like mask off that area. So basically I'm just going to go over, just line them up with the tape and stick it down. Hopefully, I'm going to peek underneath. Yep, I got those lined up still. I'm going to do one more up high. I wish I could find that post-it. They make a post-it tape, and I really should try to find that because I think that would be really helpful. And then I'm just going to kind of grab those ends down. So what we're going to do now is make a little band of color, and I'm going to use a blending brush because I have an easier time with these. You can use a sponge or whatever you have, whatever you want to use, and I'm just going to ink them up with some of this kind of minty aqua colored ink and just give it a little light dusting of color. Not a lot, I just want to kind of blush it. The colors here are very pale and pretty, almost like they're like almost like country pastel colors. Now I'm going to use some of these perfect layering circles to put a polka dot pattern. The colors I'm using are Butter Bar, which is a really pale buttery yellow. I'm using a soft cantaloupe, which is like a real pale melon color, and I'm using this same minty color. It's called Mint Julep. These are Hero Art inks, but any dye-based ink is going to be fine. Those just looked really pretty together. I think they might even come in a kit together. So I'm going to start off with yellow, and now when you're stamping over a post-it note, you really have to push kind of hard, otherwise you're going to get a little gap. That's okay. Take a Q-tip and just roll it on that same ink pad, and you can just kind of color that little gap if it bothers you. We're going to be accenting it with washi tape though, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. I'm going to stamp this on about 4 times, but if you're doing a bigger card, you could do it more, or if you just liked this color more, you could put it down more. It's completely up to you. Now I'm going to grab my next smaller circle, and I'm going to go in with my Mint Julep. That's a really juicy ink pad, so I just am kind of off tapping it a little bit to make sure that I don't get too much. And I'm going to go in and stamp this a few times. I just want to try to balance everything out basically. And then finally I'm going to go in with this smaller one and the cantaloupe color and just kind of put dots around anywhere I feel like I want to fill it in or I want that little burst of color. Now I can remove the post-it notes and see what we have underneath. Now you've got this beautiful band of kind of polka dot pattern. So now I'm going to put a piece of scrap paper down, and we are going to do some more inking. And I have die cut a circle from a post-it note here, and I'm just going to set that, and I just put a piece of post-it note over it to protect my my little band of stamping there. And I'm just going to mask off a little bit more so I don't get ink where I don't want it. And we are going to brush on some of that yellow and orange ink. This is a great way to use your inks kind of in place of background paper and really get a lot more for your money. And then everything also perfectly coordinates. So ink up your brush. You can use a sponge like I mentioned before and just give it some nice color there. If you want it to have a little bit of a two-toned effect, you can go in with a little bit of the orange. You want to be careful with these because the pads look very similar. Yellow and orange pads look very similar. So you just want to make sure that you use the right brush and get the right lid on there. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to use a stencil to make kind of like a sunray pattern. And I am going to remove these and just kind of put a couple post-it notes down just to protect that band again. And I reuse my post-it notes over and over again. You don't have to get rid of them until like the back gets dirty. Like if you got some ink on the adhesive part in the back, then you'd want to like switch it out, but until then you don't have to worry about it. Now this is a stencil by Heidi Swap. It's large, it's meant for scrapbooking, but I thought that it had really good scale. If you do not have a stencil like this, you can just use strips of Post-it notes and do the raise that way. It'll work just as well, but since I have this, it's a little more convenient. And I'm going to hold this still, or actually even better, let's grab a little bit of tape and tack that down so I can have my hands free to work. And we are going to brush on our color here. If you're worried about getting too much overlapping with the yellow on the sun, you can put the center of your Post-it note down. I'm not too worried about it. I don't think it's going to show up that much. And you can build up as much color as you like. Now on the edges of the paper, it's kind of pretty to have it a little bit darker, so I am going to go in with my yellow and put a little bit of the orange rather, and put a little bit of that orange, that cantaloupe color. And I want to do it from the outside in because I definitely don't want to put that over the sun because that would show up. Okay, so now we're going to do a little bit of stamping, so let's move our stencil. And you can kind of see what I meant about the seeing a little bit of the sun ray on the yellow sun. Not a big deal. I don't mind the look, but if you wanted to avoid that, then before you did your inking, you could just set that, your Post-it note middle that you die cut out there. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is my stamping, and I've got a couple little rooster stamps here, and I will link up to all of these in the video description so you can find them. And I'm going to use some archival ink. You could use whatever black you want because we're going on top of stuff, but I got my archival ink out just in case I wanted to like ink over something that I had stamped. And then you want to look at your stamp for that little line. That's going to show you where the feet are going to be, and that's going to help you line it up, and we're going to stamp it right in front of the sun. Oops, I stamped them crooked, but I think you'll be alright. Even with the lines, sometimes it happens. Usually what I do is I scooch down and I kind of stick my head in there and look underneath, and that helps, but I didn't want to do that and have my head in the way of the video. There. And I did get a little smudge of ink there. I do need to trim off some of the excess rubber on there because they're new and I haven't gotten to that yet, but I'm not going to worry about it. Now the sentiment, I'm going to use this Love sentiment. It's from one of the unmounted sets, the Live, Love, and Be Thankful set, which has a bunch of different handwritten sentiments. And I'm going to stamp that over here. And now I'm going to put down some washi tape, and I like to do it here before I put it on the card because I can tuck the ends under. And I'm going to use this copper glitter on the top. I'm going to just to meet up to the feet. I'm going to tuck around the edges, and then I'm going to use this aqua and gold one on the bottom. This is the Love Nicole washi tape from AC Moore. There we go. And you can, you know, make that go lower or higher, cover up less or more depending on how much room you have left after you put your sentiment down there. And push that down. I'm not worried about that smudge of ink because I did make a few embellishments to go on my card. I wished I'd had some enamel dots, but I didn't. I didn't even have any wooden hearts or anything like that, so what I did was I took my old-fashioned paper punches and I punched some hearts, and then I heat embossed them with pink embossing powder, and that's what I'm going to use to embellish this card. So it's really simple to do. To make these, you punch out the hearts, you press them down on your embossing ink pad, dip them in your embossing powder, and then heat them up. I used a needle tool covered with a little poster putty to hold my hearts while I was heating them so I didn't burn myself, and it worked perfectly. To glue them down, I have glue in a fine tip applicator bottle. I'm just going to make a dot right there where I have that smudge that I want to cover up, and I'm going to make 2 more. And then one over the word love there, and then I'm just going to kind of drop them in. This can be kind of tricky, so I actually like to use a little poster putty to pick them up. And I bring it to where I want to drop it down, and then I use my needle tool to help bring it off of the poster putty so I can kind of release it there. Or you could use a tweezer probably, that would work. I'm not as good with a tweezer as I am just a little bit of poster putty. And then you gotta let this dry. It'll only take about 5 minutes though. To finish this card, all we need is a little bit of double-sided adhesive, and I did give it a few minutes to dry, but I'm just a little concerned that some of those embellishments might not be completely dried, so I am going ahead and putting the adhesive right on my card. That way I don't have to worry. I probably have more than I need because this is a pretty flat card, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. And just center that right up. I'm just using like an aqua blue card, but you could use a coral, yellow, black, white, whatever you want. It's completely up to you, but I think that that really makes the sunshine come out and makes it look nice and fresh. I want to thank you so much for watching today. If you enjoyed this project, please check out our sponsor, Rubber Stamp Tapestry. You can find them online at pegstamps.com and check out the video description for special deals and discounts. I'll also have all the products that we used listed below with links. Thanks for watching. Please give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Until next time, happy crafting.